Friends, greetings. Just now we have spent beautiful days in our country. Beautiful days in sense that there was a festival across the country called Navratri or the Sahara, Durga Puja. And we were all, thick and thin, we were all into it. We were celebrating it. We were celebrating with family, with society, in society, and with full swing, full fever, full fervor also. I hope you have all enjoyed the festival that has just ended a couple of days back. And now I am starting to have a discussion with you. I'm starting to have a discussion with you that takes us to a new level or a new topic. A different kind of fever is on again. This fever actually, if you see in India, this fever always continues. It never goes down. It never dies down. And the fever is of election, and election. Despite getting no result, no substantial result, no conclusive result out of it, whosoever wins, whosoever loses, nobody knows. There is no enthusiasm, and there is no active participation from the common people side, common population side also. But still, elections keep on happening, and elections are coming, elections are going. The results are always not appearing the way it should appear. And if after every election, we just feel that what for this election took place and what kind of results we have got. I am talking of the fever that is going on in the country currently. There are some by-elections happening, almost 60 to 70 seats across the country. And there is one state called Bihar where state legislative assembly elections are on. First round has just ended on 28th of October. Almost 71 seats. Voting was done. There are 2 rounds left, and this fever is a different fever, kind of fever from the country or across the country. Whenever elections take place for a state legislative assembly for any other state, it is different. But when it comes to Bihar, or when the Bihar is holding elections, it is different, because Bihar has a different name always. Bihar has always been in the lead for the country. Bihar has always been very actively engaged in the events of the country, be it before independence, be it after independence. So today I am going to focus my discussion on the Bihar elections, and side by side we will have a sort of discussion on democracy in India also. The topic for today is Bihar elections and democracy in India. And we all know that India, the kind of situations, the kind of circumstances we are in, we can say today that the India is sick today. And if we call Bihar, or if we take the names of Bihar, or if we talk about Bihar, we can say that Bihar is a seeker. Bihar is not sick, Bihar is seeker. India is sick and Bihar is seeker. So the Bihar Assembly election fever is in full swing. The electoral battle continues and all parties are trying their luck. They have announced candidates, they have announced manifestos, and now they are all trying to do the kind of publicity campaigns, advertising campaigns, so that their candidates win and they are able to form the government. The winning party or parties will form government together, and a new government will be formed on 10th of November 2020. It will be for all to see which party or coalition will get majority, because the kind of situation that is prevailing today, it is not certain which party is going to get majority. The kind of trends, the kind of indications that are coming today, it appears that it is going to be a hung assembly, an assembly where nobody or no political party gets majority on its own. Before discussing the electoral scenario further, it is necessary to look at Bihar's past. After independence in 1947, Bihar was the best in the whole country in terms of governance or administrative system. We know, if I inform you, or if I share the information, that at that time Mr. Sri Krishna Singh was the chief minister of Bihar, and after independence there was a committee formed at the level of the center. I think at the central level a committee was formed to submit a report like which states are in lead in terms of governance, in terms of administrative system, in terms of administrative setup also. And a committee appointed in the 50s for this purpose submitted its report that in the context of general administration, Bihar is better, rather best, than all other states from every point of view. This was the situation in Bihar, or about Bihar, in the 50s, in the 60s. But gradually it started declining or followed a downward trend, and in almost every case, Bihar is the worst in the whole country today. Its condition has especially worsened in the last 30-40 years. From 1990 to 2005, Rashtriya Janata Dal governed Bihar under the leadership of Lalu, Yadav and Rabri, Devi, supposedly known as Jungle Raj. When they were ruling, Bihar was synonymous with Jungle Raj. From 2005 to 2020, Janata Dal United and BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party, jointly led Bihar under Nitish Kumar and Sushil Modi, supposedly known as Sushaashan Raj. Actually, these parties, Nitish Kumar was always talking about Bihar in terms of Sushaashan Raj. That means good administration is prevailing, is existing in Bihar. During the RJD rule, there were industries like kidnapping, corruption, etc. Malnutrition was at its peak. Real industries were abolished or destroyed. Administrative system was destroyed, and the result was that of a declining Bihar, a deteriorating Bihar, a destroying Bihar. The pace of becoming West accelerated. When Rashtriya Janata Dal was in power, the pace of becoming a West or a country or a state with sorts of direction going negative accelerated. At the time of Janata Dal United, emphasis was put on law. There was an effort to improve law and order. There was an effort to make accessible electricity, roads, water, etc. for the common people. But other important requirements were not taken care of at all, or in the way they were trying to provide road, electricity, water, and other things. They did not take care of other important things. Living in between a couple of years in which Nitish Kumar of Janata Dal United was the chief minister and Tejashwi Yadav of Rashtriya Janata Dal was the deputy chief minister, BJP has spent 15 whole years running the government with Janata Dal United. During these 2 years, that means from 2015 to 2017, Janata Dal United was in combination with Rashtriya Janata Dal running the government in Bihar. In the 2015 assembly elections, Janata Dal United and Rashtriya Janata Dal contested against BJP together. They were together, and BJP was having a different sort of combination of political parties. When Bihar assembly elections took place in 2015, there was a lot of uproar over Prime Minister Modi's statement that Bihari DNA is defective. Nitish Kumar's DNA is defective. And on the call of the Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, more than 10 lakh Biharis, they had sent their hair and nails, etc. to the Prime Minister's office in the light of the irresponsible statement given by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi at that time that Bihari's DNA is defective. Nitish Kumar had called Narendra Modi a cancer or a canker for Bihar and its honor and interests. Also, during the election campaign, Prime Minister Modi had announced a special economic package of almost 1,25,000 crores. How much amount has been spent on Bihar out of this 1,25,000 crores? Nobody knows. Even BJP is not talking about this 1,25,000 crore anymore, particularly in this election, which is taking place now, today, 2020. BJP itself is not talking. Prime Minister himself is not talking. No other BJP leader is talking about this 1,25,000 crores. That means it was just a Jumla. It appears to be a Jumla and nothing else. There is no idea about all these things. After the electoral victory in the year 2015, Janata Dal United and Rashtriya Janata Dal ran the government together for almost 2 years. Then suddenly, after getting rid of Rashtriya Janata Dal, Nitish Kumar formed the government with the BJP and remained in the government till today's elections, almost 3 years. Nitish Kumar had done this with the BJP too earlier when he parted ways with the alliance led by BJP. For these reasons, Nitish Kumar is also known as Paltu Ram. Actually, in political circles in Bihar and across the country, Nitish Kumar is synonymous with Paltu Ram. Paltu Ram means a man who you are not sure which side he will take when important decisions or important situations come. In times of importance, you cannot be sure that Nitish Kumar will take this side or that side, and that is why political class in the country and particularly in Bihar, they call him Paltu Ram. All parties are responsible for the current sick and morbid situation in Bihar. Previously, Congress was ruling, then Rashtriya Janata Dal came, then combinations of the political parties came, then Janata Dal United came, then Rashtriya Janata Dal came, then Bharatiya Janata Party is also in power for the last 15 years. So you can put the blame for the morbid, sick condition of Bihar on almost all political parties operating in India. And somehow or the other, some way or the other, sometime or the other, these political parties have always been in power. And the blame or the discredit rather, for the state of morbidity, for the state of sickness in Bihar today should be put on these political classes or affiliations or parties or leaders. Despite many good things, following are symptoms of present morbid condition of Bihar. Bihar may be having many good things. But when you try to look at the situation or at the symptoms of Bihar today, like what is the reality in Bihar? Bihar is synonymous with what? Then we come across the following points, which I'm going to put before you for your information. Second in the country in unemployment ranking, contribution of GST is very, very negligible, hardly 4%, maybe one of the lowest in the country. Industrialization laggard in the country. Bihar is an industrialization laggard, but you can say practically there is no industry in Bihar. Lacking in availability of healthcare services. Healthcare services are at its lowest. Lacking in availability of education services. Same applies to educational services also. Per capita income is hardly rupees 30,000, which is one third of the Indian average or national average, which is almost rupees 1,100,000, and Bihar is having hardly rupees 30,000 per capita income yearly. Deep-rooted casteism. Casteism is in everybody's mind, is in every corner in the state. Top in crime against women and children. When it comes to events like crimes against women and children, it is rampant. Top in corruption. Corruption, you cannot get any work done without bribing somebody or without squeezing the palm of somebody or without greasing the palm of somebody. You need money to bribe somebody to get your work done. Top in corruption. Top in crimes and criminal activities like rape, kidnapping, robbery, murder. Top in the criminalization of politics. Criminalization of politics is rampant, and you can name very few states where it is like on the highest standards. Bihar, UP are one of them. Every year there is drought or flood related devastation. Drought related, flood related devastations are happening every year in Bihar, in the state of Bihar, and because of which the normal social, economic or political conditions of the common population is hardly anything good. And you can say that Bihar's population is always living in the midst of poverty. Poverty is like anything. Majority of the population in Bihar is living in poverty with malnutrition, destitution, everything. These are the true realities. These are the truths of Bihar today. And as I was telling in the earlier also, that all political parties are to be blamed for this. Notwithstanding the above as national truth, something more is applicable to Bihar. This is more or less a national truth. But when it comes to Bihar, it is applicable in a higher degree, in a higher intensity, or higher degree of quantity or quantum calculation, whatever you call it. All political leaders and parties have contributed actively in Bihar becoming morbid, sick, whatever you call it, devastated, malnutritional, whatever you call Bihar. The current state of democracy in India is extremely pathetic. Democracy has almost lost its usefulness, purpose and reason. It is moving towards hell, that is Patal Lok. Patal Lok we call hellish situation. Bihar is not untouched by this, but the abuse or misuse of democracy is a bit more here. On Indian level, the way democracy has been functioning in our country for last few years, particularly during the last monsoon session, if you see how the parliaments were conducted, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the way both were conducted, you can say that democratic values are going down, have gone down. It is touching nadir, it is touching the lowest point in the history of India since 1947. And the same you can say for Bihar also, maybe in a bit higher degree, in a bit higher frequency or intensity, you can talk about Bihar. The way rules, values and traditions in the current assembly elections are being violated is truly harmful and suicidal for democracy across the country, in Bihar also. In response to the RJD's manifesto giving 10 lakh jobs or services, BJP has said to give free vaccine for corona along with 19 lakh jobs, despite the fact that corona vaccine is not known at present. Rashtriya Janata Dal leader Tejashwi Yadav announced through his manifesto, party's manifesto, that he is going to give government jobs to 10 lakh people in Bihar. In response, Bharatiya Janata Party and its leaders, they announced that they are going to give 19 lakh jobs to the people of Bihar, and side by side or along with this, they are going to provide free vaccine, corona vaccine to the population of Bihar. This has created a chaos and uproar, political uproar across the country. How come corona vaccine can be given to the state of Bihar free of cost, and what about other country parts or other parts of the country, other states and union territories of the country? But more than that, since corona is a national problem, corona is a health issue, It should not have been made an election issue because it is a compulsory, it is a mandatory, is a necessary requirement for the population of India so far as its population's security and safety are concerned. It should not have been a political, or it should not have been an election issue, and it should not have been included in the manifesto the way this kind of sentiments are prevailing. But more than that, I think the political class today, particularly BJP, they are taking the people of the country, people of Bihar, as idiots, as foolish, as devoid of any intelligence, with all sorts of foolishness. That is why they are pronouncing this, they are announcing this, they are including all sorts of things in manifesto just to get votes, just to get power, just to have power, just to grasp power at any cost, even at the cost of the state, even at the cost of the nation. This is really, this is what is indicating that democracy in India is on a negative trend, is on a downward trend. It is very well known that the BJP, which did not do anything after talking about the special economic package of rupees 1,25,000 crores in the last assembly elections in 2015, is talking about giving corona vaccine free of cost. And everybody knows that corona vaccine is not sure to come out maybe December 2020, maybe June 2021, maybe December 2021 also. Nobody is sure. The way corona is changing its symptoms, the way corona's vaccine trial is taking place, it is getting delayed. Nobody is sure about when it is going to come. And BJP is making it an issue just to get votes, just to garner votes, just to get majority so that it is able to form the government. Be fooling the people of Bihar. It is talking all this nonsense. To win elections till a few years ago, it was enough to be criminal, dishonest, shameless, etc. But now, BJP and other political leaders have made it necessary to be shameless, sly, jumlebaz, fraud, hypocrite, etc. too. Elections keep on coming and going, but dozens of problems of country or state like Bihar are not resolved. Elections come and go. Nothing changes. Situation rather worsens. Before, in comparison to the previous times, or in comparison to the previous elections, the government of the day always does not perform, or performs lower or lesser than the government earlier. And this is the situation, this is the reality happening after every election. Rather, they all become worse and new problems get added as well. The situation becomes, or a situation gets worsened, and new problems, crises get added as well. Performance is now out of the evaluating standards of democracy. Now in democracy, or when you are deciding about which party or which leader should be at the helm of the government, or should form the party, or should form the government, or should be in power, actually performance standards or performance analysis is not at all being counted now. All sorts of non-issues are coming to the fore, and they are being made, or they are given publicity, they are advertised in such a way that they become the cornerstone of any decision. The common population or the common voters get influenced by them, the common voters get swayed by them, and they ultimately cast a vote for non-issues rather than the real important issues. Nitish Kumar led Janata Dal U BJP state government will likely lose this year's elections due to Narendra Modi led BJP central government's faulty and wrong decisions like demonetization, GST, corona related lockdown and other crisis situations. The country and the country's population always remain cheated. Bihar and Bihar's population will be cheated this time too. And because the expectation from the leaders is almost zero or nil, nobody is having any expectation from any political leader. Nobody is having any expectation from any political class or political groups also. And that is why the voters today are not able to decide which party to vote, which leader to vote. They are not enthusiastic about it. They are simply keeping close eye. They are keeping simple watchful eye. They are silent. They are mute spectators. There are all kind of hullabaloos, all kind of brouhaha, noise is there. But the common voter, who is at the crux or at the center of the democracy, at the center of the voting, is keeping silent, deliberate silence, you can say. It is the misfortune of the country that crores of rupees are spent on elections, but the results are zero or negligible. India's political class has stooped to the hellish lows. India's political class is now escorting, or rather harboring, all kind of hellish ideas, negative ideas to gain power at any cost. The littered democratic system of the country demands immediate and necessary changes. The way democracy is functioning, the way problems are before us, we are confronting the India, or the nation is confronting the crisis or the problems, and there is no solution to any one of them. The way things have taken a negative turn, the ways the atmosphere, the socio-political, economic atmosphere is turning negative, or has rather turned negative, there appears to be no silver lining. And because of these situations, the way democracy is functioning, it appears that today's country, our country, demands immediate and necessary changes in the governance setup, in the administrative setup, and it is badly needed, badly required also. Friends, this was all I wanted to discuss with you all in terms of Bihar elections, or the elections that are taking place in Bihar. Let us see who is going to win, who is going to form the government on 10th of November after the counting. And before I end, let me wish you all a very happy and prosperous Diwali to each one of you. All the best, friends. Thank you.